Welcome back to another Pirkei Avot text explication video with your host, me, Rabbi Drew. We are now on the 14th text in the 4th chapter of Pirkei Avot. This one is actually a fairly short one, and we see a return to the tripartite, the three-part style of sayings that have been predominant throughout Pirkei Avot. We have Rabbi Nehorai. Rabbi Nehorai, that's his name. He says, the first part is Heve Gola Limkom Torah. Exile yourself to a place of Torah. Okay, it's very nice. Exile your place to a place of Torah. It's very nice. Then in the second part, he offers somewhat of an explanation. V'al tomar shehi tavo acharecha shechavercha yikaimuha biadecha. And do not say that it, referring to Torah, do not say that Torah will follow you. It will come after you, because it is your colleagues who cause it to endure in your hand. So and then he has a third part to this. And I'm going to wrap it all together because all three of these are actually connected. And the final piece of this is actually a biblical quote. He's quoting from Proverbs 3:5. He says, "Va'al binatcha al tishain." Ve'el binatcha al tishain. Do not lean upon your own understanding. Okay. Basically, this is all really of one piece. I mean, you could consider it as one saying because it is thematically all connected. We have seen in other, whether 4-part, 2-part, 3-part sayings, many of them are actually quite disconnected. 3 totally disparate pieces of advice, just all packaged together as one statement. Here, Rabbi Nehorai actually has a 3-part statement, but really all really part of one package, and really actually going back to the very first line, which is really just 4 words, Heve Gola Limkom Torah, exile yourself to a place of Torah. I want to focus, before really digging into it, just even this word of Gola, right? What does this mean to exile? Because the thing is, this is being spoken in the first couple centuries, probably, I would suspect, the 2nd century of the Common Era. And this is a time that the Jews, while living in Israel, were under Roman rule. And so they were not able to gather where they wanted to, and many of them had to disperse from Jerusalem and had to go elsewhere, especially up north in the Galilee and other places. This actually makes me think, so that's why the Gola. Why are you what's prompting the exile? Like, why not just live where everybody else lives? Why not just go to a place where there's already established, like Jerusalem? Why not just go there or some other major city? Because the truth is, you had to go somewhere, because you couldn't just stay in Jerusalem. Now, he says, why to a place of Torah? Now, he provides a reason. Now, one thing, of course, that's very important is I've spoken before that one of the overarching values of Pirkei Avot, or sort of the Pirkei Avot project, is this overarching value of Torah study. And this is a major push out of the Pirkei Avot project by the rabbis, is to really instill the value of Torah study, because it's important. It's the lifeblood of the Jewish people. And so he's saying you got to go. Now, who is the suspected addressees? Who is the intended audience of this statement by Rabbi Nehorai? And the answer is really other scholars, other rabbis, people who are invested in the rabbinic project, other rabbis. So that's really his intended audience. I mean, of course, he could be speaking to just anybody, right? Any Jew out there, he could absolutely be addressing it. But as we'll see, because then he says, Va'al tomar shehi tavo acharecha. Don't say that it's going to follow you, meaning it's someone who's already invested time in study, real significant Torah study, and so much that it's going to just follow you, right? Follow the addressee. The intended audience. So clearly the intended audience is a learned audience. There is something to be said for saying, I've studied a lot, it's just going to follow me. I've already acquired so much Torah knowledge, Torah study. How could it not follow me? But then he says, it's not just about you. Shechavercha yikaimuha yadecha. It's your colleagues, it's your fellows who are going to help it. It's a really interesting language about enduring, but in your hand. So like, basically, by being in conversation with colleagues or people of similar knowledge levels, you're able to strengthen each other. And he doesn't use the word of language of strengthening, but that's really, it's otherwise, if it's not enduring within your hand, it'll come out, right? It'll fall away. Your grasp upon the Torah and Torah study and the knowledge and the wisdom learned will slip away, fall out of your hand. And then he uses this biblical quote, and don't rely upon your own understanding, your own discernment. It's just like really here now, he's saying, if you go to a place that really isn't of Torah, then you might say, well, I've got it up here, I'm going to remember it. But going back to the previous piece, it's your colleagues who help you endure, who help it continue and help it keep going. This was something that we've encountered previously in the second chapter of Pirkei Avot, is Rabbi Elazar ben Arach. Now, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach was kind of a prized student of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. But curiously, we don't actually hear a lot of his wisdom throughout the rest of rabbinic literature. So what happened? There's another text out there floating around amongst rabbinic literature, is that Rabbi Elazar ben Arach went to a place without Torah, whereas his colleagues remained in dialogue and kept each other's knowledge and Torah development and wisdom strong. He went to a place that wasn't. And so it fell away. And so I think Rabbi Nehorai here is really sort of picking up on that and saying, you can't just go to a place all by yourself, or at least with no other people of similar Torah wisdom and knowledge, and expect it to just stay. Because it's really in those interactions and sort of keeping people sharp about their Torah knowledge. So this may be a short one, but it's interesting to think about what was going on, why one would have to move and pick up and go. But ultimately, Rabbi Nehorai here is saying, for those who value Torah study, it's important to not just go to a place devoid of other people who will be in such a dialogue and discourse about it. Like it helps keep you sharp about it. Alrighty. Thank you so much for watching.